Okay. We're going to do glands of the endocrine system, glands and hormones of the endocrine system. This is at least going to be a two-part lesson. We definitely cannot do every single gland today because your pituitary gland is like 6 hormones just by itself. And it's a lot. So we can't really expect to do that in one day. Today, we're going to start off with your pituitary gland and your hypothalamus. Now, being teenagers, your pituitary glands are quite active. Prepubescent, not a lot. When you guys hit puberty, I mean, a light switch goes off and they become very active. Your pituitary is seated in the sella turcica of the sphenoid bone. Your sphenoid is the floor of your brain case, if you recall from the skeletal system last semester. Yes, Aiden? No, foramen is a hole that goes through a bone. The celica or the sella turcica is just like a saddle. It's just like a little nook. Yeah. Do y'all remember what veggie your pituitary is about the size of? It's the size of a pea. It's very small. It's like arguably your smallest gland. Pineal, I think, is a little bit bigger, but it's the size of a pea, but it is very, 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 very important, very active. What part of your nervous system does it connect to? What, not division, excuse me, not division of your nervous system, like what actual structure in your brain does it connect to? No. Look back at this previous image. Right here. What's it connect to? It connects to your hypothalamus. It connects to your hypothalamus. How many parts of your pituitary are there? There are 2 lobes. One lobe is the posterior pituitary. Is this the lobe in front or the lobe in the rear? Posterior means backside. What type of tissue is your posterior pituitary? Your choices are endocrine tissue, which is glandular, or is it neural tissue? This is mostly neural tissue. This was on your mastering. Does your posterior produce hormones? No. What does it do with, what's this association with hormones? It stores them. It doesn't produce hormones. It releases neurohormones made by where? It stores hormones, but where are those hormones made? Made by the, not the anterior, the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus produces some hormones and your posterior will store them. The posterior is just a storage area. It is not a true endocrine gland that manufactures hormones. It does not make its own hormones. It just stores them. Burger King does not make food. They prepare food. Trucks stop at the restaurants every few days, drop off all the frozen burgers and fries and everything, and they just heat it up. That's basically it. They don't make food, they prepare it. Your posterior doesn't make hormones. It just holds them, stores them when you need them. Now, if the posterior pituitary is in the back, what's in the front? The anterior. These are very much endocrine. This is very much an endocrine function. So what type of tissue is the anterior pituitary composed of? Glandular. See, when you guys respond to me like this and you actually participate, you're kind of just telling yourself, I've got this. I have a test in 1 week. If you answer the questions I'm asking, that should be confirmation for you. I'm getting it. I'm doing well. I have a test in 1 week. If you're sitting there just like, I don't know anything, you have a lot of studying and preparation to do. But as I ask you questions, participate, answer them, and I'll confirm if you're right or wrong. And that should just be an acknowledgement to you. I'm getting it. I'm getting ready for that test. I'm feeling good. Or I don't even know what class I'm in right now. I need help. Okay. You're right. This is mostly glandular tissue. Does the anterior pituitary make its own hormones? Yes. It manufactures a number of hormones, a variety of them. There will actually be 6 hormones that we will go over with your anterior pituitary. Okay. So that's just an overview of your pituitary. Now let's get into the specifics. We're going to target each part of your endocrine system, starting with your pituitary and the hormones that they have. So let's start it off. Posterior pituitary and hypothalamic hormones. Guys, there are 2 hormones that you need to know, and I want to make that very clear. You guys are in high school anatomy. It's not college anatomy. It's not nursing school or med school. You have to start somewhere. There are far more than just 2 hormones that the hypothalamus makes that the posterior secretes. But for our level of anatomy, I need you to know 2 hormones that your hypothalamus produces but are stored in your posterior pituitary. Do you recall what they are in any order? ADH. Let's start with that then. ADH is one of the 2 that is made by your hypothalamus and stored in your posterior pituitary. Anti-diuretic hormone. Cooper, does this make you pee a lot or not pee at all? Which one is it? You just told me both. Come on.
So beer would not be an anti-diuretic.
Correct. So I'm talking about the hormone.
Yeah. So
it holds it in. Diuresis is urine production. If you just had a gallon of water, your kidneys are currently engaged in diuresis. They're making a whole bunch of urine. Guess what what do you suppose the relationship is between anti-diuretic hormone and diuresis?
it allows it.
Think about what you're saying here. You're telling me that a hormone called anti-diuretic allows the production of urine to happen.
Oh, sorry.
You got to think before you speak. Try again.
It stops it.
What's it?
It stops urination. So diuresis is urine production. So it stops urine from being produced.
It stops. What's the word?
Urine.
No. The process of making it.
Diuresis.
Anti-diuretic hormone stops what?
Diuresis.
And what is diuresis?
Urine production.
Where do you suppose that takes place? What organs?
The diuretic.
What organs make pee-pee?
The
No.
kidneys.
Kidneys. Okay. ADH. You just had a 3-day weekend. ADH prevents wide swings in water balance. I'll get to that. I'll get to that with this. The reason that you would have high levels of anti-diuretic hormone is that you want to avoid dehydration. So Miss Carson, I'm going to put you on the spot here. You have not had water in 2 days. You haven't drank a drop. Would it be a good idea for your body to produce urine and thereby relieve yourself of water? Remember, you're dehydrated. You haven't had any water in 2 days. Is it a good idea to urinate? No, it isn't. Make sure you speak up because I got this on. Okay, so would you expect your anti-diuretic hormone levels to be high or low if you are trying to retain what little water you have left? Good. If you are dehydrated, you want high levels of ADH. It's going to hold on to your urine. If you haven't had any water all day, you're probably not going to have to go pee. But if you have been drinking water today, you've probably already peed 2 or 3 times today already. Now, if the body solutes, which are things like salts and sugars and things that get dissolved in water, if they become too concentrated, ADH is released. If you guys have very yellow urine, is that a sign that you're dehydrated or very well hydrated? You're dehydrated. Your urine is called a waste product. You get rid of wastes. You get rid of things like sugars and salts and hormones and stuff called bilirubin, which is part of your digestive system. You get rid of a lot of stuff. When you are taking a drug test, you have to pee in the cup. The stuff that drugs put in your body is a waste product. You pee it out. And they can detect those components and determine if you're on drugs or not when you like a job interview or if you play a sport, they do random drug tests. So I'm going to turn my camera on here. I'm going to do a little demonstration. Let's see, give me a sec. Start video. Okay, let's see. All right, let's turn this around. Where's Lauren? There she is. Okay. All right. You see her? Perfect. Okay. Yes, Lauren, you're on TV. All right, guys. This beaker is going to be a kidney. How many kidneys do you have? 2. You have 2. We're going to fill up with water. How about just that much? Now, I want you to use, the best possible vision and judgment you can. I'm going to put in 2 drops of yellow food coloring here, and I want you to look how concentrated it is. 1, 2. All right, swirl it around. Let's say that is your urine. Would you say that this person is dehydrated or well hydrated? Dehydrated. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in your urine that makes it this color. Things that you'll learn later this semester when we get to the urinary system. But there's a lot of wastes. And would you say that currently, would you say this urine is concentrated with solutes or diluted? It's concentrated. It means it's gold. So how do we dilute it? You have to drink a lot of water. Is it as bright yellow as it was? No. I don't think it is either. It's still yellow, but it's not as yellow as it was. So would you say this is diluted or concentrated compared to what it was? Diluted. It's diluted. So you pee that out. You start all over again. So let's say you have that. That's what's left. You drink some more water. How's it looking now? Even more diluted. So whenever you have very, very, very concentrated, like what we first saw, where it was golden yellow, you want to release those solutes, get them out of your body. One of the worst things you can do is when you're sweating, what are you losing? Water. You're losing water. If I were to put a glass of salt water out on the street, what would evaporate from that glass of salt water? Water. With the salt? No. So what happens to the water that's still in the glass? Is it more concentrated or more diluted? Concentrated. That's what's happening in you. So one of the worst things that you can do is when you're sweating is to not drink water to replenish, because you're just making yourself more and more concentrated. Why'd you stick your tongue out in the video? Why'd you? I saw that. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. So now you guys can look up on YouTube and you can watch Lauren sticking her tongue out of the camera. Cooper, you want to be on TV?
The salt. Where am I? The salt will come. You see me? Just be salt.
There he is.
Was I in it? Yeah. It'll just be salt.
There we go. All right. Okay, so if the body solids become too concentrated, ADH is released. So Carson, I'm going to still pick on you here. If ADH is released, is that going to cause you to pee, or is that going to cause you to hold in your pee?
Hold in your pee.
Where is it being released from?
I thought you said that ADH makes you hold in your pee.
I didn't say anything. I'm just listening to you. I haven't said if you're right or wrong at all. I'm just listening.
Wait. Yeah.
What is ADH released from? Where in your body? Where does it come from? You're not listening.
Yes, I am.
No, you're telling me the target. I'm asking you, where does it come from?
What?
What's the lesson called?
Oh, posterior pituitary.
Okay. If you have solutes that become too concentrated, ADH is released. Where does the hormone get released into? The answer is your bloodstream.
Okay.
My question is, why would it need to be released? What does it say up on the screen?
Is too concentrated.
Okay, so when I say ADH is released, is that going to elevate your ADH levels or lower your ADH levels?
Lower.
It's being released into your body, Carson.
Oh, I'm thinking it's like released and it's like released.
No, that's urine that's released. You don't pee out anti-diuretic hormone, you pee out urine. Yes, go ahead. So let's start this over, okay? Let's reboot. Carson, you have very high levels of solutes in your body. Okay. If that happens, ADH is going to be released, so you can try to pee those out. When I say ADH is released, what is it released from?
Posterior pituitary.
What is it released into?
Bloodstream.
Good. And when ADH is released into your body, are your ADH levels going to be high or low?
High.
And when ADH is released, is this going to promote urination or prevent urination? Anti-diuretic hormone is going to promote the loss of water?
Opposite.
Try again. Is anti-diuretic hormone going to promote urination or is it going to prevent urination?
Prevent.
Right.
Okay.
Not to get too personal, but all of you have likely had diarrhea. Diarrhea is where you lose water. If something's called anti-diuretic, are you going to lose water with something that's called anti-diuretic? No, it's like, I think of it like anti-diarrhea. If diarrhea is the loss of water, anti-diarrhea is the prevention of water loss.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So one more time. Will ADH promote urination or prevent urination? Prevent. Good. Okay. Let's pick on someone else. Lauren, looks like you need to stay busy in this class. What are the organs that anti-diuretic hormone will target? So you pee from your stomach.
No,
That's news.
No, the bladder.
Nope. What?
Kidney.
Yes.
Would it also target gonads? Or
No, you don't pee from your testes and ovaries.
would it do like penis or vagina?
No.
Just kidneys?
You don't pee from the vagina either. You'll learn a lot when we get to unit 17. ADH targets the kidneys. How many kidneys do you have, Cooper?
2. Actually, I got 1.
Really?
That's just,
You really only have one? Is that true? Or you just playing?
I woke up in a bath, so.
Ah, you're just playing. What?
What about like your
Hmm?
This is Will's question.
Well, then Will needs to ask
Bro,
it.
Will ask me.
Not my question.
Wait, what about the
Yeah, you do this a lot where you say it's Will's question. Okay, Lauren, how about you ask me at the end of class, because we do need to get to a certain point. I think I know where you're going with this.
Okay.
And the answer to that is your large intestine, where food goes through. It's supposed to absorb water from your poop, your stool. When you are sick, sometimes that doesn't happen. And rather than the water getting absorbed, it stays in your stool. Yeah, we haven't gotten to the digestive system yet. Make it good, Carson.
I don't know if it's good. It's just a question. But how do you only live with one kidney and not 2 kidneys?
Your life expectancy will be reduced. You can't live a full life
So
without.
then why would people donate a kidney?
Because they're very nice.
Oh my God.
They're willing to take years off, Carson. They're willing to take years off of their life to add years to someone else's.
I'm pretty sure Selena Gomez
I don't know.
donated her kidney.
What did she say?
No, Selena Gomez donated a kidney. Or she got a kidney.
Well, someone else's life expectancy is reduced.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. All right. So as Cooper said, ADH is going to target the kidneys. Now, one of you was asking, I think Aiden said, is it true that when you hold on your urine, a lot of the toxins in your urine goes back in your bloodstream? Here's the answer to that question. ADH targets your kidneys. We can all agree on that. You have 2 kidneys. Your kidneys are where urine is produced. The diuresis, production of urine. When this happens, water that is used to produce urine is removed from urine and returned to the bloodstream. So what I'm telling you guys is when you are really dehydrated, I'm talking you haven't had any water in a long time, the water that is in your urine will be removed from your urine and it will go back into your bloodstream. Because what is the majority of your blood? Water. What is the majority of your urine? Water. And so the water that is in your urine will go back into the water that helps make up your blood. If you are dehydrated, the last thing you can afford to have happen is peeing. You can't afford to lose water, very little water that you have left. It's bad news. You are mostly water. You need to retain it. Yes. They do. Their kidneys look very different. A dehydrated kidney looks very different than a normally functioning kidney. And by the way, I was going to say this for Thursday and Friday with kidney stones, and this is actually urinary system, so not even our system. But I will say, just because it's coming up now, in the years I've taught this class, I've had 2 students who are seniors in high school who have had kidney stones. And you get kidney stones from eating a lot of salts and very little water because you have to keep your system flushed. You have to keep things moving. And they would eat all this salt and they would not drink water to keep their system flushing. And all that salt would start to build up into these actual hard little stones. And when you get a kidney stone, I think you have like a 70% chance of it happening again. And for some reason, it's more likely in females. But one girl said that she's like, yeah, I eat salt all the time. I put salt on my cereal. I'm like, what? Yeah, she said she put salt in her Cheerios. She eats salt everywhere. And so it just built up and built up and built up. And you have to pee out a little rock. Yeah. You did? A lot of salt in your diet? Oh, it's genetic. Fair enough. Yes.
Well, like, what's the reason why, like, if you have it once, that you get chance to do it again?
Because you may not have a very good flow.
Like, so that after you had it, you start changing your diet.
I think you'd have to change it dramatically, and you have to drink a lot of water. Okay, Cooper mentioned this a few minutes ago. When you're drinking alcoholic beverages, ADH, you tell me, is it inhibited or is it promoted? Think before you talk.
Promoted.
When you drink booze, you hold on to your pee?
Oh, I thought you were saying it's promoted to pee.
No.
It's inhibited.
ADH is inhibited. This causes copious, copious means like obscenely large amounts. Like if you ate a whole party bag of Doritos by yourself, you ate a copious amount of Doritos. This causes copious urine output. If you drink booze, you pee and you pee and you pee and you pee, and you're probably not drinking a lot of water. So you're not replenishing what you're losing. Tell me something that's very important for your nervous system that you're also urinating out with all that water. Think of Gatorade. Electrolytes. All those electrolytes are flushing out of your system too. And so you go to bed, you wake up, oh, my head. You have a hangover. 2 reasons. You're super dehydrated. You probably have hypotension. You have low blood pressure, and you have an electrolyte deficiency.
So the perfect hangover thing is just drinking Gatorade.
Or here's something that's actually on Kennedy Boulevard. They have a place where you can actually have an IV put into your arm. They'll basically pump you full of electrolyte-rich water.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
this is what they do in college. This is what they do in college and NFL games. So let's say Will's in high school. They won't have this in high school, but let's say Will gets a cramp. For a high school level, they would give you Gatorade. They'll give you a banana. Back in the day, a long time ago, they give you a salt tablet. They'll basically give you this little disc of salt to dissolve on your tongue. That's electrolytes. Now in college or in the pros, they'll take you back in the locker room. They'll stick an IV intravenous into your arm, pump you full of saline solution, which is basically like Gatorade into your veins, and you're back in 5 minutes to get that cramp relieved. They don't have that ability in high school because it's just money. But on Kennedy, they have this place like a spa or something where it's not cheap. But if you have this like really bad hangover, you're super dehydrated or something, they'll just hook you up and they'll pump you full of saline solution and you're good to go. Yeah. Private schools, I don't know. I can't speak to that. I don't know about them. Let's say that you have low blood pressure. Low blood pressure is hypotension. Have you ever stood up and everything just goes black? You don't lose consciousness, but everything goes black. That's a sign of dehydration. Would it be a good idea to pee?
No.
So would ADH levels be high or low if this were to happen? Yes. ADH is released. ADH is released when you have low blood pressure. The last thing you can afford to do is to lose what little water you have left.
Did you say it's bad holding it? Or someone said that?
But I'm talking about if you have a lot of water. If you have a lot of water in your system, you hold it in. That can't be good. But if you have very little water left, you don't want to lose it. All right, now that's all that hormone. What is the other hormone that your posterior pituitary stores, but is made from your hypothalamus? oxytocin. Guys, I want to make clear to all of you that there are more than 2 hormones here, but you, as a high school level, you just need to know 2. If you go to college, you learn more. Don't say, Mr. Thorson told us there were only 2. There's more than that, but in high school, you only need to know these 2. All right, oxytocin. It's made in the hypothalamus, stored in the where? What part? Posterior. What is its target, guys? There's 2 of them. Let's see if you remember this from last week. You did all this last week. We did an overview last week. Now we're going precision targeting to each hormone and gland. What is the target of oxytocin? Think of a female. It's 2 locations. Okay. We have mammary glands, which are also breasts. That's how we get our name, mammals, mammary glands. Mammary glands. And what's the other target? Uterus. The mammary glands and uterus are the targets. Some men do. It's called gynecomastia. It's female breastedness in men. Gynecomastia. Like a gynecologist. Gyne means female. It can be when you stop taking the steroid. Yeah.
I have a question. Do men still technically have like a whole stuff from their body?
That's more of the effect of oxytocin and the female hormones during pregnancy. No, not really. No. No. Okay. What does oxytocin cause the uterus to do? It causes the uterus to contract. During when? Mm-hmm. What type of muscle composes the lining of the uterus? Smooth. Can this muscle be consciously controlled? No, it cannot. So no matter how much contracting it's doing, the woman cannot control it. If you're wondering why do they tell her to push when she's giving birth, because she can control her pelvic muscles. She cannot control her uterine muscles. When the 2 of them work together, it can hopefully get the baby out of there. Okay, what does it cause the mammary glands to do? The breasts, what does it cause those to do? Not produce milk. That's prolactin. It allows milk to let down from the milk ducts to the actual lobules where you can actually secrete the milk. It allows milk down in women whose breasts are producing milk. In response to what hormone, Will? What hormone makes the milk or helps you make the milk? Prolactin. Oxytocin does not make milk. Oxytocin basically allows the milk to go where it needs to so it can be secreted during nursing, which is breastfeeding. Now, it's highly likely that I would say you guys are 16, 17, 18, 10 to 12 years from now, some of you guys will have a kid. And some of you will go into labor. And some of you might have like a stalled labor where you're laying in that hospital bed for 5 to 10 hours and nothing's happening. So what do? They can induce you. This is, with all the scientists and medicine and technology we have actually learned the chemical composition of oxytocin. So once we know how it's made, we can replicate it. And so there's actually synthetic, man-made oxytocin. Natural and synthetic oxytocin can be used to get labor going. Yeah. You're thinking of an epidural, I think. if they stick you in the wrong spot in your spine.
Paralyzed for life.
Neural tissue seldom heals. So if you were laying in that hospital bed in the delivery room for hours and nothing's happening, they'll probably induce you, where they can just use synthetic oxytocin they'll put that in your bloodstream, and that will get your uterus to start contracting. Finally, this is where we'll start to close it up. Oxytocin's nickname is the cuddle or love hormone. It helps mothers bond with their babies. You know, childbirth isn't exactly the most pleasant feeling. And so rather than focus on whatever pain there may have been, oxytocin can help a mother bond with her baby. So rather than say, you're the most beautiful baby that caused mommy a whole bunch of pain, and mommy hates you because you did it. No, she's like, oh, mommy loves you so much. Oh, you're just a little, oh, look at you. It's a bonding hormone. So this promotes, and it's also with couples. It promotes nurturing, couple bonding in a relationship or between a mother and child, and trust. So if you're holding hands with someone, or if you're cuddling on the couch, or if you're sitting next to each other and you're just hanging out on the bus or something, your oxytocin levels are probably a little higher than they normally would. This is the love hormone. It's not just childbirth. It's not just letting milk down. It's a lot of relational bonding, whether it's between a couple or a parent and child. And we will stop there.